Here it is. Good morning, good day, good afternoon, possibly good evening, wherever you are in the world. And it never fails that people, especially during the break, even major media platforms that you all think are the holy grail, come up with some of the oddest and most eyebrow-raising topics, okay? During breaks, people are struggling and just striving for, a lot of you people go somewhere else, say conspiracy theories, and you'll see your big channels go into a conspiracy on the breaks. And this is wild. If you're not first, you last. You're right about that. What's up, Oscar in the chat? I see you, Blue Badge. I just got to say this. Sylvia Witt Kelly in there. I will say this. I am a little early. I will have to get off. I'm going to have to get myself together. Found out an elder lady in my community ended up having open heart surgery. She did not get to have a Mother's Day at home. So me and my wife will be going to take her flowers and visit her in the hospital so that we can at least, gift her for Mother's Day, even though it's the day after. Found out the news late. So I'm not going to be long, and we are going a little early. But big shout out to everybody. Happy Mother's Day, belated Mother's Day to all that got there and that are here and that are not here. So let's go into this, because this is ridiculous. Lewis's name is always used for some type of cloud chase, for some type of headline, for somebody to be brought back to the forefront of the public eye because they've been often forgotten. But this is getting ridiculous. This is getting really ridiculous. All right. Big shout out Sylvia Witt Kelly. Oh, thank you very much, Sylvia Witt Kelly. It's really, it's just what we do as a Warpack family. That's how we are. But this is getting ridiculous. It's already been ridiculous. It's just a continuation of ridiculousness. These double standards are really real when it comes to Lewis Hamilton. These biased notions are really real when it comes to Lewis Hamilton. I'm going to show you a post because it's absolutely dumb. It is dumb. It's dumb to do. Here's a post I came across. I'm not going to say who it's from, whatever the case might be, but there is this thing going out there. Alex Albon, 30 points, Hamilton, 27 points without the sprint races. Okay. All right. First of all, that's fake. It's dumb to do. It's really a lack of integrity to do. And you're really struggling to try to find some way to basically disrespect Lewis Hamilton is what you're doing. You're trying to find a way to disrespect Lewis Hamilton. That is ultimately what you were doing. And it is ridiculously dumb for them to do that. Okay, so what are we going to do? Because the real standings show, and I'm crediting Alex Albon and Williams for doing what they're doing. But let's keep it a buck. Alex Albon is truly enough 8 points outside. Actually, no, he's truly enough 11 points outside of Lewis Hamilton. All right. He's in 8th place. That's not a bad place for Alex Albon to be. It is not a bad place for Alex Albon to be 8th behind Lewis Hamilton with Williams. But let's keep it a buck. What the hell are we talking about? What are we talking about? How is that making sense? So basically, you're saying omit the fact that a driver literally poled for a sprint race in China. You're saying omit the fact that a driver literally won a sprint race in China. And then you also want to omit the fact that a driver podiumed another sprint race. That's stupid. That's stupid. It's lack of integrity. It's completely asinine. It is ridiculous, and it is definitely hate. You don't remove points to try to put another driver above another driver for points that a driver legitimately earned on track, while this driver was also on track. These are the dumb things that people do and say when it comes to Lewis Hamilton because they hate, want him out of the sport so they can have their false fake ass GOAT champion probably look a little bit better than he does, and he doesn't need all that. He doesn't need all that. Why would you even put that up? Why would you even put that up without sprints? Without sprints, sprints are literally part of the Formula One calendar. This is what I'm saying, man. Always under attack, always a double standard, and always having to do way more than others to get the accolades from some people than he should. Always criticize. You go to Matt Gala. Why he's at the Matt Gala? He's spending time with kids. Why he's spending all that time doing community work? He need to be in the sim. It's no winning without it. When you're that great, when you sit that high up on the throne, when you've done and accomplished that much with people think that somebody like you should not have what you've earned, these are the dumb things that they come out and they will say. I am not saying that Lewis Hamilton or Charles Leclerc are doing absolutely a phenomenal job this season. I'm not saying Ferrari is absolutely great. I didn't think Ferrari was going to come into the season that great because I didn't trust Ferrari, not because I didn't trust Lewis Hamilton. And yeah, I had a little bit of a question about Charles Leclerc, about his overall body of work as far as him putting himself together better as a driver. But I will say this. And Maria Duncan said as much as this. What's up, Dave Quartro? What's up? What's going on, Miss Dino? I will say this, and Maria Duncan brought this up when we were in our Wolves Den. There needs to be a serious conversation had with Ferrari, Fred Vassar, the board, anybody who talked to Lewis Hamilton and promised him whatever was said to make Lewis Hamilton feel that I'm going to give you all a chance because things are a bit unsettling here as far as an organization and an environment in Mercedes, needs to be talked about at a table because it's not happening. Now, maybe they told Lewis, maybe they told him, maybe they actually did tell Lewis, like, listen, 2025 is going to be a very murky, very mixed up season for us. We might not be the most competitive. We're going to end up probably taking a step back from basically almost winning constructors in 2024. And in 2025, we are changing the car so drastically that we are not sure where we're going to land at the beginning of the season. Now, what we will tell you is we feel very confident that by mid-season, we'll have a handle on it. Okay, well, it should have been asked. If you're changing 90% of the car the season before a major regulation changes, what is the next step? What is the next step? Because I'm a little bit, I would have been a little bit concerned knowing that you almost won the constructors, and now you're going to change 90% of the car right before a major regulation changes, where you're likely going to have to change a good bit of the car. Then I need to know about that. Now, I will say this. There's also a flip coin here where Ferrari is, and Racer X210 mentioned this and brought this perspective up in our Wolves Den as well. And Racer X210 felt as if Ferrari right now have decided to kind of maybe, I don't want not give up, but sacrifice an earlier part or a quarter part of the season to run their car within the specs that we will be coming up under when they introduce the stiffer wing, front wing situation. All right, we've got flexi wings, a lot more flexi. Let's just call it, it's not flexible. It's a lot more flexibility within the tolerance than what is to be coming. The tolerance will be less, therefore the wings will be more stiff, and Racer X210 felt that Ferrari is already putting themselves underneath that situation so that when it actually prevails and all the teams have to pretty much adhere to that regulation, Ferrari will feel and will be in a better place and situation going forward. I don't know if that's actually true. We don't know if that's actually happening, but what we do know that's happening is we are 6 races into the season. We are coming up to Italy. There are going to be 6 more races before we hit the mid-season. And this next second quarter is where we are going to start heavily and drastically judging whether you need to sit down on Ferrari or stand up because they are going to make a run for it. That is it. There's no other way about it right now. Okay, there's no other way about it right now. Honestly, where they sit is not even completely comfortable. They're sitting in a situation where Alpine were very happy to be best of the rest, which technically is what they are. Technically, right now, Ferrari are best of the rest. That's where they sit. Ferrari sit right here where Alpine were so excited and proud of themselves in fourth place. All right. And they're not far. It's not that they're far off of Red Bull Racing. They're only 11 points off of Red Bull right now. They could very well very well be in a situation where they put Red Bull in fourth and they go third. K5 White Iverson in the super chat says he needs to be in a sim is crazy. Like having a day off is not allowed. Forget about mental health and things you love to do outside of F1. I agree. And what else I agree with, and I'll add to that super chat. What I'll add is this. People will always try to find something that you've already been doing and that you've consistently been doing, even through your greater part of your career, to then say something that you haven't been doing is why you're not doing as well as you're doing now. And it's crazy. You think this man, he has never been a major component of sim, and for a very good reason. We saw Jack Doohan go into the sim, think that it was a good idea to come out, take a high-speed turn with DRS still on, and it failed. There are a lot of things that you just absolutely can't get through sim. I'm not saying that it's not a useful tool, because it is a useful tool. I'm not saying that it can't help drivers, because it has helped drivers. I'm not saying that maybe Lewis Hamilton can get something from the sim, because he has gotten something from sim. He just doesn't believe I need to be in the sim this amount of time to understand what's going on, because he feels there's nothing like the real feel of being in the car. And that is a fact. That is a fact. The sim is not a direct 100% correlation of what you will experience in the car. Many drivers have said this. Still, many drivers choose to be in the sim more and more. That's cool. That's up to them. But Lewis Hamilton doesn't need that. He doesn't need to be in the sim an abundant amount of time to the point where people are like, oh, you can't go to the Met Gala. You need to be in the sim. Oh, you can't go do community work. You need to be in the sim. Oh, you can't go. No, he doesn't need that. He doesn't. Right now, that's not largely going to be his problem. I'm not going to say completely, because then that'd be like 100%, and I'm not going to say 100%. That's largely not his problem. It's just not. There's not even a problem. Right now, we are legitimately and factually in an adjustment period that any driver switching from team to a different team, from car to a different car, from a braking system that you've learned and that you've liked for many years of your career and have won championships with that braking system, to a braking system that you completely didn't like when you came into Mercedes, and that's why you switched from it. And you're going into that from an engineer that you have a very fond and great relationship with professionally and personally, to an engineer that is completely not doing his homework, listening to Bono and Lewis tape and finding out the information and points where he needs to talk to Lewis, not in the braking zone. No driver that I've heard of likes to be talked to in the braking zone. I've heard many drivers over the radio tell their engineer, don't talk to me in the braking zone. He should at least know that. He should know that at the very bare minimum, basics, don't talk to a driver in the braking zone. Don't talk to a driver in the heat of battle. We've heard Sergio Perez, we've heard Carlos tell their engineers, I am in a battle right now. Do not talk to me. So now you're dealing with that in the engineer. You're dealing with a whole technical engineering team that you haven't dealt with. There are so many things that are right now on Lewis Hamilton's plate, just as if there was another driver, Carlos Sainz, going to a new team, that you have to get into control and understand, and there is going to be an adjustment period. Lewis said as much as this took 6 months when he was with Mercedes. We're not even 6 months in the season, people. Just saying, we're not even 6 months in the season. So pump your brakes. And when you go and make stupid posts like this to try to degrade and diminish Lewis Hamilton, to prop up anybody you can. And why do you think they're going to use Albon? To try to take a driver who is not even close to being compared, not even close to as good as Lewis Hamilton, but find a way to diminish and degrade Lewis Hamilton, say, you've lost so much in your driving ability, even Alex Albon is better than you. That is all that post is about. That is all that post is about. Big shout out, Dreads in the house. What's up, Dreads? I see you popping in. That's all it's about. It's about being disrespectful. It's about being condescending. It's about being sneaky trollish. And it's about trying to degrade and diminish and lessen Lewis Hamilton's appearance publicly. But you really can't. You can't. And anybody that reads that and says, oh, damn, Albon is better than Lewis, you're a fool. You're a fool. You don't, I can't, that's why I can't tell you, I hate when sport commentators in other sports like football and basketball say, well, you know what? If that player didn't make those 2 threes, technically he didn't have more points than what the hell are you talking about? If he didn't make the 2 threes he actually made, this player literally outscored him. That is stupid. I hate when I hear that. And there are a lot of famous, very well experienced sports commentators that do that. And it is stupid to do that. For you to say Skip Bayless is absolutely one of them. He's always done it with LeBron James. He's always done it with a player that he didn't like. And it sounds dumb because it is dumb. When you try to say, well, if that running back didn't have 50 more yards and 2 more touchdowns, really this running back did better than him. No, he didn't. Because the running back you're talking about did score 2 touchdowns, and he did have 50 more yards. That is what they're doing here with this Lewis Hamilton post. They're talking about things that didn't happen and trying to remove things that factually happened to try to degrade and lower Lewis Hamilton's outtake. And that's dumb. It's dumb. So as far as I'm concerned, this is foolery. And I'm not out on Lewis Hamilton. I'm not completely on board with Ferrari, and I said as much to this before this even happened. I said as much as this. So we will see what happens or what goes on or what takes place. So big shout out to you all. I will be live again later on, okay? So peace and love to you. Check you out. Stay healthy. Be cool. Don't get frustrated. I'm out.